What's up everyone, it's Marco from PhoneDog.com, and this little guy is the Nokia Lumia 635, also known as the most affordable 4G LTE phones that also runs Windows Phone 8.1. It's a little tiny $130 package, comes with Cortana, all the brand new features of Windows Phone 8.1, so let's see what this little phone has in store. It's been far too long since I've used a Windows Phone 8 device, but technically this is not a Windows Phone 8 device. It's 8.1, which the big buzz about that is the beta of Cortana, the new voice assistant set to compete with Apple's Siri and Google's Google Now. But that's not the only new thing about Windows Phone 8, which you'll find out later in the full review. First, let's start with the size and design. The 635 is a chunky little guy, measuring in at 9.2mm thick, 5 inches tall, and 2.5 inches wide. It's a strange form factor phone to hold. Plus, the materials they use are a bit more economy. Unlike the smooth polycarbonate backing on the 935 or any of the old Nokia flagships in the past, it's a matte material that has just a lot more grip, but doesn't feel nearly as nice as the 935. Next up is going to be the display, measuring in at 4.5 inches and holding a resolution of 480 by 854. This display won't, and I say it again, won't blow your mind. It's unbelievably not crisp. PPI is only rated at 218, and in an age where phones are cracking the low to mid 500s, this display falls flat on its face. And it's not because of the price tag either. Remember the Moto E, the $130 smartphone? Well, yeah, that has 256 pixels per inch. I suppose if this is going to be your first venture into smartphones, the resolution won't bother you, but it's hard for me to say this is a good display. But the specs are actually pretty good considering the $130 price tag. A 1.2 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 400 processor, the Adreno 305 GPU, but half a gigabyte of RAM. Seems a little conservative to me. Things do look brighter with 8 GB of built-in storage, plus an expandable micro SD card slot that will accept up to 128 GB micro SD cards. Now let's dive into the software. Windows Phone 8.1 is probably one of the biggest updates to the Windows Phone line ever, but in those changes it seems that Microsoft has sort of lost their way of doing things and focused on being more feature focused. Take that however you want, but let's start with the good changes. First of all, you have a completely different lock screen. Now it doesn't look completely new, but it has a new motion, new actions, new text, new everything. And when you swipe up, you're greeted by a new background that wasn't there before. It's the first time where you can actually set a custom background on Windows Phone ever. And instead of it lying beneath the tiles and on the sides of your live tiles, Windows Phone 8.1 makes some of your default live tiles transparent. It's a completely different way of doing backgrounds on Windows Phone, and I completely do dig it. Next up is going to be Action Center. Call it what it is, but it's basically a straight lift-off iPhone with iOS 7, which lifted off Android. Simple as that. This is where your notifications live, but the cool thing is you can give different sounds, different services. You can choose what shows up in Action Center, and basically every single thing you can do on any other smartphone. The last one I want to talk about is probably the biggest update to Windows Phone 8.1, which is the introduction of Cortana. No, not the AI from Halo, but the voice is pretty similar. It's actually Microsoft's new voice assistant set to compete with Siri and Google Now. Now in this 8.1 software, Cortana is still in beta mode, and it really shows. It really feels like the first generation of Siri when it came on the iPhone 4S. But voice recognition is pretty good, probably one step better than the original Siri, but it's nowhere close to the level of Google Now. Cortana is able to schedule things and open things and even search and read back headline news at your own request. And if you're friendly enough to leave Cortana a tile on your home screen, she'll give you small snippets of news depending on your liking. Now next up is going to be the camera. Now if you like megapixels, you might want to close your ears because you'll only find 5 of them on the back and 0 on the front. It will only shoot 720p video at 30 frames per second, and funny enough, you'll find Nokia's camera application. I'm not exactly sure why you need all this control of ISO and white balance and aperture on this type of camera, but it's nice of them to give you the option. But you'll also find Microsoft's new camera application, which is a much more suitable application for a camera and phone like this. And last but not least, the battery life. Inside, you'll find a 1830 mAh battery underneath a removable back cover. It's good enough to give you about 4 hours of on-screen time with a combined 8 or 9 hours of on time. That's been about my average, with half on Wi-Fi and the rest on T-Mobile's 4G LTE network. So that's been Nokia Lumia 635. one small device with a small price tag, but it delivers Windows Phone 8.1 with Cortana and 4G LTE, something the Moto E doesn't even do. The only real question is, can you live with Windows Phone? I'm not sure if I could. Not yet, and it has been the same story for the last 4 years. But let me know what you think about the 635 and Windows Phone 8.1 in the comments below, or you can ask me questions directly on my Twitter account to @PhoneDog_Marco. And thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a thumbs up for the video, and as always, my name is Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.